How did ordinary citizens become armed extremists attacking Texas Prairieland Detention Center on July 4, 2025? We investigate the dark network behind it today.
What can turn ordinary citizens into an extremist armed force ready to open fire on security forces? Is it a random outburst of anger or the result of an incredibly sophisticated system of ideological manipulation and organization? On the night of July 4, 2025, a chillingly calculated and bloody attack was aimed directly at the Prairieland Detention Center in Texas. Masked individuals carrying tactical weapons acted like a veritable army. So who was really pulling the strings behind this shadow network, and how could they silently bypass the government's entire surveillance system? Today we will open the case file together and decode every link in this shocking event. How fragile do you think the boundary is between social ideals and violent crime? Share your perspective in the comments section below. Hit like and subscribe to the channel to step into the investigation with us right now. In mid-March of 2026, a historic verdict was pronounced at the federal courthouse in Fort Worth, Texas. This was not just an ordinary legal ruling, but also a clear testament to the nation's defense system against internal threats. 9 individuals belonging to an extremist organization were officially convicted of a series of serious law violations. These charges ranged from inciting a riot and the illegal use of weapons to obstructing public servants and directly threatening the lives of law enforcement. The focal point of this entire case file revolves around a shocking event that took place on exactly Independence Day of the United States in 2025 at an immigration management center. In order to fully comprehend the sheer complexity of this case, we need to pose an analytical hypothesis regarding how an ideology can gradually transform ordinary citizens into dangerous elements for the community. The evidence clearly presented at the trial exposed the operational nature of this criminal group, showing that they did not act impulsively or in isolation. In reality, the defendants were crucial links of an Antifa cell in North Texas operating as a branch of a much larger and more complex militant organization. This network was tightly bound together not by ordinary material interests, but by an extremist and incredibly dangerous ideology. The core of this ideology is the open call to overthrow the United States government, reject the role of law enforcement agencies, and aim for the complete dismantling of the current legal system, maintaining social order. The process of analyzing the operational system of this extremist group was brought to light before the jury by government experts through highly specialized testimonies. According to experts, Antifa's core tactics are sophisticatedly designed to obstruct the enforcement of federal law through a series of purposeful, escalating actions. They incite organized riots, commit acts of violent assault, and are always in a mindset ready to create bloody armed confrontations with law enforcement to cause public panic. Amidst a volatile social climate, these extremist groups have increasingly targeted in a fierce and direct manner the agents as well as facilities related to immigration and customs enforcement under the Department of Homeland Security. These actions are rationalized by them as demonstrating opposition to deportation policies, but in reality they are severe violations of the law that directly threaten human lives. A systemic question that needs to be asked here is how the process of spreading this toxic ideology and recruiting forces for this group took place so as to bypass surveillance agencies for a long time. Documentary evidence at the trial revealed an incredibly sophisticated method of operation through the use of traditional propaganda publications combined with digital platforms. Specifically, several defendants such as Inez Soto, Elizabeth Soto, and Savannah Batten directly participated in a specialized group tasked with creating and distributing seditious materials known as zines. These are small-scale, self-published publications but carry an immense psychological manipulative power. They act as a core propaganda tool, creeping into every corner of the community to sow hatred, incite violence, and call for anti-state acts in a systematic manner. The escalation from hateful ideologies on paper morphing into a bloody armed attack could not lack the role of a central figure acting as a leader and organizer. The plan targeting the Prairieland facility was absolutely not a random outburst of an angry mob, but the result of a meticulous preparation process under the strict command of Benjamin Song. The case file indicates that most members in this Antifa cell submitted to and considered Song the supreme leader of the entire operation. This individual was not merely a spiritual, ideological manipulator, but also someone who directly got his hands dirty in purchasing weapons, preparing ammunition, and distributing them to his accomplices. With the ambition to expand the armed force, Song relentlessly recruited many new members at local shooting ranges, organized underground combat training courses, and networked with other extremist groups sharing the goal of opposing the government. When conducting a deeper analysis of the logistical capabilities of this domestic terrorist group, we cannot help but be shocked by the level of firepower they had silently accumulated right in the heart of a peaceful community. Evidence authenticated in court proved that collectively this criminal group successfully amassed over 50 guns of various types in bustling areas like Fort Worth and Dallas just prior to the riot on the 4th of July. To conceal this top-secret operational network from the crosshairs of security forces, the members utilized high-level encrypted messaging apps with auto-delete features after reading. This communication system helped them permanently destroy sensitive information while simultaneously using fake aliases to hide their true identities. All discussions related to the attack campaign were strictly limited to core members who had passed loyalty tests. Applying an investigative hypothesis to the digital evidence helped prosecutors vividly reconstruct the incredibly sophisticated and cold-blooded preparation process of this extremist cell. Recovered text messages showed that members of the closed group conducted multiple field recons to comprehensively assess the target's security system. They made detailed lists and clearly assigned tasks regarding the vital items needed to bring when inciting the riot, including firearms ammunition, military first aid medical kits, and high-powered fireworks. The breakthrough testimony of witness Kent, a member who had previously pled guilty, revealed that on the exact night before the attack took place, the entire group conducted a comprehensive gear check. At this decisive moment, Benjamin Song issued a cold-blooded directive requiring all members to wear all black concealing clothing and carry battle rifles, simultaneously declaring arrogantly and defiantly that he would rather open fire than absolutely let himself fall into the hands of the police force. The operational tactics of this group also showed a cold calculation when they exploited the cover of basic civil liberties to carry out their dark schemes. To gather intelligence on security forces publicly, a group of the defendants brazenly blended in and participated in a peaceful protest occurring right in broad daylight at the Prairieland facility precisely on the 4th of July. Under the guise of normal protesters, they brought absolutely no armed gear whatsoever to avoid drawing attention. The sole purpose of this sophisticated act was to map out checkpoint locations, observe the patrol habits of the guard force, and report back the defense system in detail to their accomplices, waiting for the opportune moment to act outside. This demonstrates the dangerous nature and methodical preparation of a criminal organization masquerading as social activists. The terrifying moment finally struck late in the night on the 4th of July 2025, when criminal calculations officially stepped out of the shadows and morphed into practical action. According to the files presented clearly in court, at least 11 core members of this extremist cell simultaneously launched the riot and organized a direct attack on the Prairieland Detention Center located in Alvarado, Texas. This strategic facility was originally used by the United States Department of Homeland Security as a place to manage and detain individuals holding foreign nationalities who were residing illegally and waiting to undergo deportation procedures in accordance with the law. This attack was not just an ordinary act of vandalism against state property, but also a direct and severe challenge to the border security management system and the sanctity of federal law. Blindly and strictly adhering to the militaristic directives from the leader, all the defendants donned black tactical outfits covering them from head to toe. This type of specialized attire was not merely a way to unify the formation, but its core purpose was to completely conceal personal identities, creating a hard-to-identify chaotic mass to support and cover for each other during the execution of their illegal acts. The fierce nature and level of readiness for a bloody clash were shown incredibly clearly through the exhibits that authorities seized at the scene. This Antifa cell was armed to the teeth with a total of 11 guns of various types, standard bulletproof vests, and 11 specialized personal first aid kits. Notably, these medical kits were fully equipped with tourniquets and specialized devices to treat gunshot wounds, proving they had anticipated and were totally ready for the scenario of a firefight resulting in casualties with the police force. The event that took place at Prairieland is an ironclad testament showing how swiftly and fiercely radicalization can devastate public safety and order. The moment they approached the target, these domestic terrorist subjects immediately deployed their formation and caused disruption by continuously firing rounds and throwing fireworks with explosive-like destructive power deep inside the detention facility. Their reckless behavior continued to escalate as they smashed without pity, severely damaging state vehicles parked around the area and recklessly launching a direct attack on a guard booth located on the center's grounds. Faced with a situation hanging by a thread and their safety severely threatened, the correctional officers on duty were forced to activate the emergency alarm system and call for the intervention of the police force through the hotline. Answering the urgent cry for help from the facility, a brave police officer belonging to the Alvarado City Law Enforcement Force disregarded the danger rapidly arriving at the hot scene in an effort to restore order. However, instead of complying with lawful commands from the public servant, this extremist group chose the path of resistance through the most brutal violent acts. Analyzing the video evidence extracted from the officer's body-worn camera, the jury experienced moments of extreme tension as they witnessed the entire life or death moment. As soon as the officer voiced the demand for defendant Nathan Bauman to comply with orders, a desperate, bloodthirsty scream from Benjamin Song rang out, commanding his cohorts to grab their rifles. Without hesitating for even a second, Song coldly fired deadly shots toward the functional forces, causing the Alvarado police officer to collapse with a severe wound to the neck area. In that chaotic and incredibly perilous context, the correctional officers, due to not being equipped with combat weapons, were forced to hastily duck down and find every way to flee to seek safe hiding positions in order to preserve their lives. The sacrifice and bravery of the police force that dark night became a powerful symbol of the spirit of protecting the peace of the community despite all perils. Immediately after the criminal gunshots rang out, rapid response forces and backup teams instantly surrounded the area, deployed emergency professional measures, and successfully subdued the majority of the members belonging to the Antifa cell right in the vicinity of the riot scene. Even though the perpetrator Benjamin Song took advantage of the chaos to escape and hide for a short time thanks to the underground support network of his accomplices, Heaven's net is vast. Its meshes are wide but let nothing through. Through tireless efforts and sharp investigative measures, the authorities finally apprehended this dangerous leader on the 15th of July, officially ending his days on the run and bringing him to face justice. The desperate efforts to cover up the truth and obstruct the execution of justice by this criminal group continued to be exposed through acts of disposing of documentary evidence. The case file records in detail the fact that defendant Daniel Rolando Sanchez Estrada stealthily carried out the act of relocating a box containing countless classified documents related to the Antifa organization. This volume of documents included detailed insurgency planning drafts, publications carrying content undermining law enforcement forces, smearing the government, and propaganda campaigns aimed at obstructing the enforcement of national immigration law. This evidentiary box was covertly transported from Estrada's residence to another secret location in the Denton area of Texas with a malicious scheme to conceal the true contents inside and weaken the ability of prosecutors to use them as incriminating evidence before a federal grand jury. Not stopping there, Estrada and his accomplice, Maricela Rueda, were also convicted by the legal system for having blatantly established sophisticated conspiracies to hide documents and other important physical evidence solely to help Rueda evade connection to the bloody riot and the horrific shooting at the Prairieland facility. This comprehensive sweep brought a total of 16 individuals into the light of justice, including 9 defendants brought to direct trial in court and 7 other subjects who had early on agreed to bow their heads and plead guilty beforehand. In the group of defendants going to court, names such as Cameron Arnold, Zachary Evitz, Benjamin Song, Savannah Batten Bradford, Morris Maricela Rueda, Elizabeth Soto, Inez Soto, and Daniel Rolando Sanchez Estrada will forever be recorded in the National Criminal Registry because of their destructive and violent acts. For the 7 subjects, including Seth Sykes, Nathan Bauman, Joy Gibson, Susan Kent, Rebecca Morgan, Lynette Sharp, and John Thomas accepting a charge related to providing material support to terrorists last year has closed the door to their freedom, simultaneously sounding an ironclad alarm bell about the incalculable consequences of tolerating and aiding extremist ideologies in society. The jury's rigorous deliberation process led to detailed guilty verdicts accurately reflecting the nature of each illegal act by the defendants. The riot charge was handed down to 8 defendants based on clear evidence of their intent to commit brutal violent acts, including the use of firearms, throwing explosives, destroying public property, attacking law enforcement forces, and intentionally wearing clothing to conceal their identities. Similarly, the incredibly serious charge of providing material support to terrorists was also applied to this group of 8 subjects, encompassing acts of supplying weapons, communication equipment, transportation vehicles, and directly participating in the personnel ranks serving terrorist purposes that directly threaten national security. In addition to that, charges related to the conspiracy to use explosives were also unanimously passed by the jury, exposing the level of danger and disregard for human life by this criminal group. The most severe sentence will certainly be reserved for the cold-blooded leader Benjamin Song, who must bear primary responsibility for the act of intentionally killing officers and public servants of the United States. The ruling clearly points out that Song's act of opening fire aimed at the police force and correctional officers was a purposeful crime premeditated with an incredibly cruel malice. Just for the charge of discharging a firearm during a crime of violence alone, this individual is facing a dark prospect in prison with a minimum sentence of 20 years and could absolutely be permanently isolated from society with a life sentence without parole. This is an incredibly steep price to pay, but completely deserved for a perpetrator who had the heart to trample on the lives of those on duty protecting the law and the peace of the community. If you found this video brings deep perspectives and valuable lessons, hit the like button to support our analytical efforts. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying us in the next complex investigative and system analysis files. Finally, the Prairieland case not only closes a dark chapter of extremist violence in Texas, but also leaves behind immense educational legacies for the whole society. It reminds us that freedom must always go hand in hand with responsibility, and any act in the name of ideology to attack humanitarian values and the foundation of the law will certainly have to suffer the most rigorous punishment from justice. The rule of law is the sturdiest defensive wall protecting our civilization against the storms of blind extremism.